Hello! Today's video is going to be about our curriculum for pre-K and what I'm using this year for pre-K. So, I have 3 kids. Let me just start by saying that my preschooler does a lot of just kind of listening in. So some of the things that you're going to hear me talk about, I may not do for pre-K if it wasn't for the fact that I have older children doing those subjects. So just keep that in mind. She is the type of child who wants to be in the schoolroom with us working pretty much the whole day. So while my older kids school for about 4 hours a day, 4 to 5, depending on their workload for the day, she's usually down here doing school that entire time as well. Now, a lot of her stuff is just fun. Like, I will give her lots of time to just color or just look at books or play with her leapfrog or stuff like that. So she's not sitting doing book work for 4 hours, and I certainly would not have her doing that if she was, like the only child doing school. It's just that she wants to be down here with her brother and sister. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before I started. A lot of the stuff that she does is because she just asks, what else can I do, since she's down here with them anyways. So I will say that with pre-K, I am super relaxed. She knows, and the other kids know, that whenever she wants to be done with school, she can be done. She can go upstairs, she can go play, she can do whatever she wants to do. She likes to be down here with us, so that's fine. But, yeah. Pre-K, I think, should be fun. I think it should be just about when they want to learn and just kind of introducing school in a positive manner where they're excited about it. And she's going to be going into kindergarten really soon. We're wrapping up our year. I think we only have 4 weeks left of school, and then we'll be on summer break. So she's pretty close to that kindergarten age. And then I told her that next year for kindergarten, she will have certain things that she has to do. She can't just say, well, I'm done with school, I don't want to do it. But as long as she gets those few things done, then she can be done if she wants. And she'll have extra stuff she can do, just like this year, but she is going to have a few core things that she has to do for kindergarten. Okay, so let me get started by just saying our family subjects. So we're going to start with family subjects first. First of all, every morning the kids do a calendar notebook that they have, and I have a big calendar on the wall, and then they have, I'll show you my preschoolers, they have a little spiral bound notebook, and I print these out, they cut them out and glue them in, and then they write the month, and then as we go through the calendar, they'll write each of the days in. For my preschooler, I usually will do little dots for the numbers and then have her trace them. Sometimes she writes them on her own. Sometimes I have her trace them, just whatever she's feeling like that day. So that's the first thing she does every morning, is she fills out her calendar. Then we'll usually do either vocabulary or we'll do Bible journaling. So we usually read from the Bible each day, but we don't always write in our journal about it. So if we're having a vocabulary day, her notebook will look like this. It'll say the word at the top, and then she's supposed to draw something with it. That day's word was swelter. Again, this is something she's only doing because my older 2 kids are doing this, so she just draws a picture. Sometimes the picture's related to the word, and sometimes it's not. So, whatever. And then the next thing that she does is, or the next thing I have to show is just like where we do a Bible verse. So this one was Psalms 8, so she would write the Bible verse up here, and I just wrote it with a pencil, and then she traced it with a colored pencil. And then she draws a picture based on the Bible verse. Usually, for whatever reason, she takes a little while with this. She likes to just really draw, and she's into it. So while she's still drawing with this, I'll let her keep her Bible notebook out. And then we move into our next family subject, which is history. Or science, because we kind of rotate history, science. So if it's history, she doesn't have anything that she has to do other than just she'll usually doodle or just look at a book or something. She just listens along, and I'll just go over like map points, and I read out of our history book and stuff like that, and she just kind of listens. So that's it. For science, my son we're using Apologia. My son, who's in 1st grade, has the junior notebooking journal. So what I do for science for my preschooler is I let her pick, because each one comes with 2 pictures. So I let her and him pick which picture they want to color, and I take one out and give to her. So while I'm reading through the science stuff, she's coloring one of the pictures that goes along with our science. So that's what she does for science. And again, science and history is something that I would not be worrying about with her as far as like a specific curriculum, unless she was just doing it with us, which she is. So then we have our read aloud time. So that's our family read aloud, and I do not cater the read aloud to her level. So it's I'm usually catering my read alouds to my oldest child, but making sure that the younger two can be kind of interested in it. So it's usually more for my 4th grader, honestly. But she sits and listens. We go upstairs, we sit on the couch, and I let them get a blanket if they want to, or a pillow or whatever. And she just kind of has like a little rest time. And that's good for her, and she enjoys that. And she listens to the book. Then later in the day, when we do reading where my older 2 kids sit and do their own individual like silent reading, that's when I read to her. So I'll let her pick out books, whatever books she wants. Down here in the schoolroom, she does have a basket where I kind of rotate some different books that she can choose from. So during reading time where the other 2 kids are being silent, this is what she does. She'll just pick a book and we'll sit down and we read it together. We usually do like 3 or 4 during that time because they read for about 30 minutes. So at this point in the day, I would say she hasn't really had any curriculum. She's done a little bit of calendar stuff. She's drawn some stuff, she's colored, and then her and I have read a book. And then after that, we usually have our break and our lunch, and we go outside and we play, and then we come back, and it's individual subjects. So that's when she really gets into her curriculum, and the other kids are doing more independent stuff, so I can work with her more. So let me go through her individual subjects. So she has math. So for math, we do a few different things. I don't have a set curriculum for anything really. Well, I do have one curriculum for phonics that I'll show you next, but for math she does a few different things. So at the beginning of the year, I got her this mathematical reasoning book, and I did get the one just thinking that would be a good start, but it was a little bit, she already knew how to do pretty much everything in here because it's a lot of just like counting and like point to each picture that has 2 red squares, and let's see what else. This one was like a pattern, so it would be like blue, circle, star, circle, star, circle, star, and then she would just say circle. So a lot of it she liked it, but there wasn't a lot of like writing and drawing in it, and she likes to do that kind of like motor stuff. She likes that better than just saying what's on the page and stuff. But we did it, you know, she liked it, and I think she learned some from it. But one cool thing about these books, if you get these for your child, is that because there's not a lot of writing in them, you could really use these for multiple children. Like, there's only a few pages that she actually wrote on in this book. So I could use this if I had a younger child. I don't, she's my youngest, but I thought that was kind of neat about these books. Now, if you're going with this, it says Mathematical Reasoning 1 is for ages 3, and I think that's pretty appropriate. I used this for her when she was like the second half of being 3, and this was a little bit too slow for her, especially when she started getting into math a little bit more and learning more. So I would start with 2 maybe for pre-K, and maybe like use 1 the year before pre-K. I think those would be a good option. But this book was pretty cool. So this was one of the things that we did towards the beginning of the year. Then I also had this book for her. Okay, so this book and the mathematical reasoning book we would do about twice a week. And I just pick out whatever worksheet in here I feel like doing, or she feels like doing, and she would do them. Some days she would do 1, some days she would do 5. It just depends on her mood that day. This is kind of like, I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing next. We're going to be starting like what 1/2 means. So this is a worksheet on 1/2. There's a couple more about it, and then it starts going into time and stuff like that. So this is a cute little book. I got this at Five Below for $5, and it's been pretty helpful this year. Okay, on the other days that we're not doing like workbook stuff, she has this interactive math notebook, and this I just make up stuff based on what skills I want her to learn. So at the beginning of the year, I kind of wrote down a list of what skills I wanted her to learn for math, and I just kind of look through that as I'm planning for the week. So I'm just going to show you a few examples of how simple this is, because this was not hard to put together. None of these activities were difficult or time consuming. So for this one, I just simply took a worksheet out of that workbook I just showed you and just added some things to it. So this was about the number 0. So she had to cut these, glue them on, and then she had to match up the numbers to the correct fishbowl. And then over here, she traced the number 0. She circled the dice that had 0 on it, and then she colored the fish that had 0 stripes and dots. So that's one example of what I did. And basically I did numbers, shapes, we did some adding, things like that in here. Let's see, let me give you another couple examples. Oh, this is not pretty, but she loves doing this. This is just writing on a piece of computer paper a number, and then she takes those little do-a-dot markers and she dots them. She liked doing that to learn kind of how to write the numbers, and then she gets to glue it on too. She's my child that likes artistic stuff. She likes drawing, she likes coloring, she likes cutting, she likes gluing. So any activity that has those sort of things in it, she's going to enjoy. She does get bored with coloring a little bit though, so I have to spice it up with like the dot markers or glitter glue pens, stuff like that. Okay, so here's another example of just like, so for the number 7, she had to trace the number 7, then she drew 7 apples on the tree, and again, this was cut out of the workbook. She colored all the apples that had 7 on it, and then this page was the next day. So she traced 7, she put on 7 stickers, and then she took a number 7 and glued paper to it. So it's just really simple stuff like that, but it was fun. This was her more, she enjoyed doing the interactive notebook more than the workbook pages. Like on this one, I let her use glitter glue pens and pattern paper to glue on, and then she used the glitter glue pens to trace the numbers. And then over here is when we kind of started working with addition some, and I let her use little manipulatives. They were little erasers, and once she figured out what 1 plus 2 was, then we would check it, and then she would trace it. So we did that for addition a couple of times. What else did we do in here? We just did some fun little things like that. We had pages for each number, and then I would have other things interspersed. Oh, I wanted to show you this page because this was one of those, like, I didn't plan ahead that day, but I wanted her to do something in her notebook, so I just grabbed a crayon and I drew pictures, and then she had to write how many was in each picture and then cross the number off. So that was really simple. But it doesn't have to be hard, but stuff like this was just fun for her to do. This was a shape pizza when we were learning about shapes. She made the little shape pizza, and then she wrote like how many squares and how many rectangles, and then she traced them. So that was her interactive math notebook. We just did a lot of little fun things to reinforce whatever topic we were learning about that week, and we usually focused on a number each week as well until we got those down, and so that's what she did with that. Then okay, so I would do the workbooks 2 days a week. I would do the interactive notebook a couple of days a week also, and then I would also add in a few other things each day, like little math games. Like one of the games I made for her was clothespins with numbers on them, and then each card had a certain number of like smiley face stickers on it, and she would have to match up the clothespins to the card. I tried to get her thinking a little bit of the 10 frame idea this year, so she could see that like 5 plus 5 was 10, and she could look at a 10 frame and see if 1 was missing, then that meant there was 9, so it kind of introduced a little bit of addition, subtraction stuff too. So we did that. I made a little pattern thing. We did patterns. This I actually made with my laminator and stickers, and then I used Velcro, and so these come off, and you can make, this was grouping, and then you can use those same ones to do matching, or on the front you can make patterns with them. So we use that for math sometimes. And then I also have a few other little worksheets that I found online that we would use. With each number, as I introduced it, we would do one of these sheets, which I found for free on Teachers Pay Teachers. And it was like, so the number 3, and you take your little do-a-dot and you just find all the numbers. And then another thing she really likes to do, and we're still doing even though she kind of has her numbers down, is number bingo. So I made this on Canva. I'll show you guys when I get to her language arts a couple of other worksheets I made on Canva. It's a really simple place to make worksheets or little activities for kids. If you haven't heard of it, it's pretty cool and it's free. So I made this on Canva, and then she just takes little erasers and I call it the numbers and we do number bingo. So I would just do like maybe one extra little quick game or fun activity each day with math if she was in the mood for it, which she usually was. So that was math. It was really simple, really quick, maybe like 10 minutes a day is about how long her math would take. Okay, I know this video is getting like super long. Sorry, I'm going to try to speed up the rest of it, but we're getting into the more like exciting parts of it. So, okay, the next thing, and really the last thing, is language arts, but language arts has a lot to it. So the first thing that we did for language arts, my main goal for her this year was just for her to learn all of her letter sounds. And for pre-K, I only teach first letter sounds. So like with A can say ah, A, and ah, but for pre-K, I just teach ah. And then next year in kindergarten, we learn, hey, some letters have more than one sound, and here they are. So I would say the number one thing that I enjoyed doing with her this year, and I didn't do it with my other kids, and I wish I would have, it was so simple, and it probably made the biggest difference as far as learning letter sounds, was a letter chant. And this is what I used. I cut this out of a workbook that I bought. I think it was, where's the workbook at? I think it was this this total reading one that I got also at Five Below for her, and I believe it was out of the front of this one or the back of it. It may have been a different workbook. Anyways, I don't know. I got this out of some workbook that I had, and all we did every single day was we chanted it. So we would say, A says ah, ah, ant. B says b, b, baby. C says k, car, and we would just go along, and I would have her point to the letter and then the picture, just like that. And at the beginning of the year, I did the chant, and then she started learning some of it and doing it with me, and then by the end of the year, now she's doing the chant completely herself. And she does know all of the first sounds that every letter makes. And I think it's like 80% from doing this, and this takes a minute. So that is a really simple thing to do. And she didn't mind doing it because it was so short. So the other thing that we did for letters was I did kind of the letter of the week program, and I just made up my own thing, and I'm going to show you some of the worksheets that I used for that. So for example, every week I would have kind of a set activities that I would do with that letter. So the first thing that we would do is I would print out a sheet like this. I made this on Canva again, and I would put it in one of these little page protectors, and she uses dry erase marker. And so every day we would say, you know, make the sound that S makes as you trace it, and she would trace it, and then we would talk about some of the words that begin with the letter S and the beginning sound. So that was the first thing that we would do. And then I also did a letter poem for each letter. And so we would read the little letter poem each day. And then I would have some little worksheets sometimes that I would make. Sometimes I would make one, sometimes two or three, just kind of depending on how much time I had that week. But this one is just like find the letter S, so she goes through and she just colors in the letter S. Another one that I make, I don't know if I have an example of here. I think it's in her notebook. I'll show you in a minute, but it's where she has to cut the letter tiles out and separate them by uppercase and lowercase. So that's another thing. So sometimes we do like a little worksheet to do with the letter, stuff like that. Then for every single letter, we did her favorite thing, which was lettercraft. So I would just go on Pinterest and type like letter U craft or whatever, and this is an example of what we would do. So you cut out the letter and then you make it into some kind of animal or, you know, whatever. So this one was unicorn. This was one of her favorite ones, which is why I'm showing it, because there was a lot of glitter involved and she loves glitter. So you just make it into a little animal or something, and then we would also do a letter page in her ABC book, and at the end of the year I'm going to hole punch these and bind them together. But this was just coloring pictures out of, I'll show you the little book again, this book, this little total reading book. She would color some of the pictures that began with that letter, and then she would cut them out and glue them on, and then we would talk about the beginning sounds again, and I would write the words on there. So we did one of those and one of these for every single letter. And then we also would do tracing that letter every day and talking about the sound that letter made every day. And then one of the days she would do a letter mat, Play-Doh mat, sorry. So she could do the Play-Doh letter. And one of the days she might do like one of these little worksheets that I made. And then one of the days she would do her interactive ABC notebook. So like I had one for math, I also had one for her letters, and I'm going to show you a couple of the pages in here. Again, I just made these. They're simple, they're easy. A lot of them were just handwritten on paper and then she cuts out, but you know, it's just easy stuff. Like for the letter I, it said I, and she would trace it up here with a highlighter. I don't know if you can see that. And then it says I is for ice cream, and she glued her little ice cream. She would trace the letter I, and then the next day she had a dot I that she made. Let's see. Another example was for the letter M. We did a maze, and I don't know if you can see, but it has upper and lowercase m's that she had to follow through the maze, because M is for maze, and then M is for mud, and I let her paint the M with, I almost said black paint, brown paint for mud. I was going to actually get mud, but that didn't happen, so we used brown paint. Oh, here's the example of one of the worksheets that I used. So for the letter N, she had the bottom part where she would cut out, and she had to do the uppercase N's here and lowercase n's here. And then over here I found some stickers of things that, these were things that began with the letter N, and these were things that did not. So she just stuck the stickers in the correct spot for the letter N. So I just tried to do different things for different letters. Here's the letter R. We made R puzzles. And then I cut out, whoops, that wasn't glued on very good. I cut out some magazine uppercase R's and lowercase R's, and so she glued them in. And for S, kind of the same stuff going on here. We had a little snake S, and then she wrote S's, and then she put things that began with S and things that did not begin with S. And these were just stickers that I accumulated for her. So that was her interactive alphabet notebook. And then so that all basically was for learning letter sounds and learning her letters and learning how to write her letters. So the main thing that I really liked from doing this was the letter chant, though. I think that was the most. And then I would say the second favorite thing, because this was her favorite, was doing these letter crafts. So I really enjoyed doing that. And then the other thing that we use for language arts, but not really for letter sounds, was I got this little Kumon uppercase letter trace book. So she was just like learning how to write her, you know, just handwriting. So this is kind of like her first handwriting book. And this, I didn't really ever say, hey, just do this. It's just when she said, can I have something else to do, or what else, I would say, oh, why don't you do this? Because this she can do independently. So if I was working with the other kids, this was really nice. Then I got her this book, and I thought it was kind of silly to get like a critical thinking book for pre-K, but my older two kids had logic books, so I got her this, and she loved it. So I highly recommend this. This is the Evan Morris, is it? Yeah, Evan Morris Skill Sharpeners Critical Thinking Pre-K. And all the grades, well, I don't have all the grades, but I had first and my fourth grader and my pre-K one this year. They all loved these books. They were so much fun. So let me just show you a few of the things in here. Like on this one, it's kind of themed. So the first theme was, what was the first theme? Let me see. Insects. Okay, yeah. So like she did the life cycle of a butterfly, and she had to like cut out the pictures and put them in the correct order, and then she matched up the sorry, you can't see the colors. And then over here there was a page that she cut out and had to make a little puzzle of a grasshopper, and just fun things like that. This book was just really fun, and she really enjoyed this book. So she ended up doing this entire book this year, and that was pretty fun. Then the other thing I got for her, I found this at Five Below, so I just picked it up, and she's just started really working with it, and it's pretty fun. She likes this one too. So this one is like, it's kind of like mazes, but it uses a pattern. So you have to go by like scissors, highlighter, pencil, and then make your way from the arrow to the star. So it's got stuff like that in there. And then at the beginning it had this kind of pattern thing where it would say like, okay, what comes next. Here's the pattern, and then which one comes next. So that was a cute little book. She liked doing that too. And then I also have a journal for her. All my kids have journal time once or twice a week. We would do journal, and so I got her one as well, and I'm really glad I did do the journal because it's just really cute to like go back and see what she wrote. Well, she didn't write it. So how we did journal for pre-K was she just told me what to write and I wrote it, and then she drew a picture. So I have a little example of her work here. It was super cute. So it says, it is a 2-fish beta tank. One is smaller and one is bigger, as you can see, for just a little bit of food. So she would usually draw something first, and then she would just tell me what to write. And it's just really cute to read back some of the things that she wrote about. Like, let's see. Oh, this was about a cute little monster that loved to play. I don't know if you can see him. He's right there. Just stuff like that. She would just draw cute little pictures. This is another monster. This one was named Pinky. And so that was fun, just having a little journal for her. So she did the math stuff, she did the letter of the week stuff, she did journal, she did some handwriting, she did some logic, and that's pretty much it. Now we're kind of past the just learning the letter sounds, so I was just gonna wait until kindergarten, but we just went ahead and started. What I got for her for kindergarten for phonics and reading is the same thing I've used for my other kids, and it is Logic of English Foundations. So she has started level A, and we're starting that now, and we'll probably do a little bit here and there throughout the summer as well. But if you have not checked out this program, it's called Logic of English. Here's the little brand of it. And it's the Foundations program. They also have Essentials for older kids, but Foundations for younger ones. And it goes from level A to level D. And I would recommend A for either pre-K or kindergarten, and so on and so forth. But you could even do it in first grade if your kid wanted to kind of like step back and learn the foundations of the English language and all the phonics and stuff. It's a very phonics intensive program. But it's super fun because it's just really hands-on, and like, let me just show you a little bit of the kids' workbook. I was trying to make a short video, but it just didn't happen. So like over here, this shows the different types of A in print material. So like when you're reading a book, you need to realize that this is an A and this is also an A. So I think it's cool that they include that. They have lots of, this was words where you segment words. So instead of saying like, let's see, what do we got here? Like hat, I would say ha, ah, t, and then she has to glue the words back together or blend them together and then circle it. And then, I don't know, they just have really fun, colorful, bright things. This is probably going to be beginning sounds here, and you would circle the beginning sounds. They've got some game boards. This is a little kind of search and find, so it has like the letter B, and you have to circle all the things that begin with that sound. I don't know. And oh, and they also have, which we haven't gotten to it yet, but they have books in the back that tear out and then you staple them together and they make little books. And the kids have to glue on the pictures on each page of the book. So that's part of it too. And it comes with the student workbook and then the teacher manual. I do not get any of the extra stuff. Just so you know, you don't have to. You definitely can. But like you can get like letter tiles, and you can get, I don't know, all kind of little things to go with it, and I don't get any of those, and I still do just fine with this. So that's just one option. But that's mainly for kindergarten, but like I said, we've started that. Another fun thing that she does is these little I can read it puzzles. She likes them. This is good for when you're starting to kind of, like, she's learned the sounds of the letters, so the next step is to learn that when you put those sounds together, they make words. And so this has been really fun for that. And then a couple other just small things that we do. Again, I like to have a lot of just extra things for her because she'll say, hey, I want something to do. And I got to make sure that I have something I can give her because a lot of times I'm working with the older kids when she asks me for that. So I made a few things ahead of time. I made some more of these for, this one is, she calls them mommy baby pairs. So mommy baby pairs in alphabetical order. So if you open it up, it has all the upper and lower case letters. And then I had to put a little insert in because I couldn't fit them all in. But these are all Velcroed on, and so I can take them off and she can match up the upper and lowercase letters. And then the other thing is you can take them all off and you can do alphabetical order on the outside with them. Alright, so that's one thing that she does from time to time. I'd say she usually does that like maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. Whenever she just kind of feels like it, she does that. Another thing that I have here is this, which has all the letters and then a picture of something that begins with that letter. So again, these are all Velcroed on, and then on the inside I have a couple other things she can do with it, like she can group them by foods, animals, letters, and she can just put things in the correct groups. So that's that. Then she also has a little Leap Start frog that she can read through some books and do activities on. And I think that's everything that she has done for pre-K this year. Everything has worked really well for us. For math, I found my favorite thing to do with her was just that interactive math notebook and just learning numbers and learning the basics of just addition, as far as learning how to use manipulatives to show addition, subtraction, and things like that. And then again for letters and letter sounds, the main thing was the letter chant and then the letter crafts. So that is everything that we are doing for pre-K this year. All of our curriculum, even though most of it isn't curriculum, most of it's stuff that I've kind of come up with and pieced together here and there. But that's it. That's pre-K. So let me know if you have any questions. If there's anything you can think of that I didn't cover. I feel like I went way in depth, so sorry this video was so long. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you want to know how to make those little worksheets and stuff on Canva, let me know about that. I can make a quick video on that. It wouldn't take long. It's super easy. So thank you for watching. And next I will have my first graders curriculum video coming up. All right, and if you guys like these types of homeschooling videos, please subscribe. Bye-bye.